talk a little bit about the offense here. Defensively, there's been a lot of turnover on the defensive line. They're trying to replenish that with some youth. Still a lot of nice pieces, though, here in New Orleans. So can Derek Carr get the Saints back on track?
Yeah, I mean, this offense should be pretty good. Their offensive line had issues at times last season, but the healthy starting five, I think, is a pretty good group. Trevor Penning, remember, was supposed to be the left tackle last season, got hurt, basically didn't feature at all. I think the final game of the season maybe was his only start at left tackle. Once he got back healthy, they were using him as like an auxiliary sixth offensive lineman. But now, Trevor Penning at left tackle, Hurst or Andres Pete can both man the guard spot. Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz has been playing better recently than the start of his NFL career. And then Ryan Ramczyk is still one of the best right tackles in the NFL. That should be a good starting five, not even just okay. Derek Carr, again, is a good quarterback. He's not great, and when you have to defeat a bunch of great quarterbacks, that's not a great starting spot, but he's a good quarterback. And then you look at the receiving core, the big, the X factor is, what are we going to get from Michael Thomas? This is a guy who's now been injured for like years straight. But every time he's been back on the field, he still looks like Michael Thomas. So if you can just guarantee that he's going to be around for the majority of the season, that creates a receiving core of whatever Michael Thomas is right now, Chris Olave, who looked really good as a rookie, Rashid Shaheed, who has become, I think, a much bigger part of that offense as soon as they discovered what they had in him, Juwan Johnson, a tight end, the running backs they have, Alvin Kamara, once he gets back. Like, that's a really, really good group of skill position players across the board behind an offensive line that should be good. This should be a good offense.
Derek Carr's career, again, whatever narrative you want is probably true. Is he a QB that's good enough to win with? Yes. Is he a quarterback that you can't win with? Yes. They're both true somehow. That's your middle tier quarterback. That's Derek Carr. He's had years where he's been a top 10 quarterback, production-wise, grade-wise, stats, PFF WAR. He's had years where he was closer to 20. So that's what happens. That's what happens, and that's what Derek Carr is. But the years where he's good, it coincides with having an Amari Cooper, having a Nelson Aguilar as a deep threat that just randomly broke out that one year. It coincides with Darren Waller being healthy. It coincides with the playmakers. The Saints, you just rattled them off. The Saints have that infrastructure for Derek Carr to have one of those top 10 caliber seasons. For everything you just mentioned, I think Chris Olave is a star. And if he, just as a 1-2 punch, Chris Olave and Michael Thomas, if Olave gets to be the all-around star and Michael Thomas just becomes uber possession guy again and stays on the field, with Shaheed as the deep threat, Juwan Johnson, anytime you've got a former wide receiver who's become a tight end and stayed in the league, they're a weapon. Juwan Johnson was a weapon last year. Jimmy Graham is out there turning back the clock.
Stop it.
Jimmy Graham is mossing people down the field. Jimmy Graham and people down the field even, and in the red zone. Just do that. See what happens. Offensive weapon, Taysom Hill, is still there. I'm just saying the infrastructure is in the place for Derek Carr to have a big season.